I didn't want to get picked on for another reason as well.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
It was always like, oh, you know, we have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, because then otherwise the you wouldn't attract the boys. You know what I mean? Like the girls were always so worried about stuff like that. But with me, it was always a little different because I didn't know at the time who who was I attracted to. I was always kind of immature in that sense, where all my my peers were more mature and they all fancied the popular guy in school or whatever it may be. But yeah, I completely understand how it is, like, with the baggy jeans. And then I just decided, you know what I mean, like, I'm just going to do whatever I like because people are going to pick on me anyway. So
Yeah, I mean,
I might
can
as
you
well, yeah.
imagine sort of thinking about sort of like us growing up and in that time period and things we went through compared to these days
Absolutely.
with social media and things like that. I mean, you can imagine that if we took a video of three people putting legs inside one trouser leg of some Bernie's jeans, that stuff would have gone viral.
Yeah, it's a
I
little
think
bit
that would have been
ridiculous.
viral all over Facebook.
It's just like,
Yeah,
us
that
having a
that'd have
laugh.
made us TikTok famous, I'm sure.
I'm sure of it, but think about it, like, sort of like changing subject a little bit, as in like bullying, how kids nowadays, they get bullied, but they can't get away from it. As like back in the 90s, early 2000s, like before social media and everything, like, yes, you get bullied at school, but unless your bullied followed you home, then you could have, separated that and
Sure.
so you'd have, your space and you'd have some peace. But nowadays it's just so difficult. I really worry about my children, when they get to the age of being in high school and stuff like that, especially like for myself, having kids with special needs. Are the other kids going to pick on them, or what's it going to happen? As a parent, you can understand how that could affect their mental health in the future. So yeah, like, social media can be a great thing, but it can be an awful thing as well.
I the thing I always think about with social media, it's not the platform that's the problem.
It's
It's
the
the
people.
people using it.
Yeah,
It's the
I
people
guess.
using it. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. I mean, you just try and tune it out. I particularly over the last 3 months or so, since the whole pandemic
Of
outbreak,
course.
and people being quite vocal in
Yes.
their thoughts and opinions, I have utilised the unfollow button on Facebook more than I have ever done in my
Before.
life
Yes.
of social media. I mean, clearly, if you unfollow someone on Instagram, Twitter, they can see that. They look at your profile, they can see if you follow them or not. Whereas on Facebook, if you're still friends, but you just unfollow so you don't see any of their... Because I never realised how many people I associated with over the last 10, 15 years, whatever, that were actually racist. Like, just without even trying to hide it, it's just they never really voiced it until lately.
Until, yeah,
With the whole...
everything's exploded.
Everything's exploded, and you realise that some people, they don't care. There's a band that we have played with quite recently that are now looking for a new drummer because their drummer was quite vocal in his anti-BLM,
Yeah.
and they just couldn't associate with that, to be honest.
And
I mean,
that
I
is fair
unfollowed
enough.
him.
Yeah.
I unfollowed him because I didn't want to see any of that on my feed. To be fair, I think I was only friends with him for 6 months on Facebook as it was.
Yeah.
from
Right.
when we played
Of
played a show
course.
together. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. You don't want to be if you don't believe in what they believe, then it's absolutely fine to to unfollow that person, and you don't want to associate yourself with that person. That's absolutely fine. And
yeah.
what I tell people as well is like, even if it's family, okay, even if it's someone close to you, if you don't believe in what they're telling you or their beliefs or whatever, it's okay to say, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with what you said, and I think that is quite hurtful for whatever reason. You don't have to agree with everyone, especially in something very, very sensitive as racism and stuff
Yeah,
like
and I
that.
think that
Yeah,
using the unfollow button on Facebook, on social media in general,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
are responsible for you're responsible for curating your own social media
Mm-hmm.
feed. So if there are things coming on there that aren't going to help your mental state, such as if you're a girl who's 16 years old and you are a size 6, but you think you're fat, if you're following all these size 0 models on Instagram, that is not going to be healthy for you. It's quite simple, really. Get rid of that negativity. It's not negativity, but it's negative. Get that out
Yeah,
completely. I
of
used to
course.
follow a lot of, celebrity people,
Yeah,
A-list celebrity people, and realised at a certain point that they weren't good for my mental health, because whenever I was popping on Twitter and browsing, I'd come off after 15, 20 minutes and feel down in the dumps. Like, I'm not where I
absolutely,
want to
a
be in
hundred
life. These
percent.
people are, you know what I mean? So you curate your own feed to support your own mental well-being.
Oh,
That's what I do
absolutely. I
these days.
agree 100. Yeah, I believe 100%. I don't think that um I don't know, it's very difficult because obviously now we are older now, yeah. But for the
Hmm.
younger generation, it's very difficult because if you aren't like your peers, yeah, if you aren't like your friends, whatever, then you are being, called out for being different. And then if you're too different, then it's just sometimes you can't win. And if you don't follow the
No, no, no.
Kardashians or all these people that I feel are fake, okay, they are fake, then it's just not good. And I think the aim of what I'm doing right now is to reach everyone, not just people my age, but reach a wide audience as well, because we need to use our voice. We
Hmm.
need to make noise for the things that matter, and
Absolutely agree.
if we can get the younger generation to listen to us speaking, then even just one person, then our job's done. If we can help
It's about
people,
trying to make to be all inclusive,
mm-hmm.
trying to give everyone the opportunity to be involved. So I mean, these days with, again, using the social media thing, but you've got what you're using right now, a podcast. There's YouTube videos. There's so many ways to reach people, and there's a YouTube channel that I follow. Um, it's a business type of thing, but they also have a podcast. But their primary output is video. Rather
Yeah.
than do a separate podcast, they
Mm-hmm.
genuinely just take the audio from their videos
Mm-hmm.
and release that as the podcast, because they understand that people don't always have the time to sit there and watch their videos, but they can listen to the podcast while they're walking to the shops, or
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're utilising the tools available to still try and get to as many people as possible. And I think that's something that needs to be done. And I think you're on with that, aren't you? Really, with doing a podcast, it's another outlet to try and reach people.
That's it. Yeah, and the thing is, we all have to speak out, because it's such an issue, this is such an issue, and if we don't do anything, if we don't use our voice, then what else can we do? Personally, I can't just sit here and do nothing, you know. Doing a podcast, writing about my experiences, then if that is my way of helping people and sharing my story, you know, my story's not over yet, you know.
No, absolutely not.
It's not over yet, and we're just. It's only beginning, you know. For me, it's only beginning, and I feel like this is gonna get bigger and bigger. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. But with
Sure.
I mean, how was it like for you when we entered, you know, quarantine, you know, with COVID, like pre-COVID and COVID? How was that for you, like as a person and as a business as well? Because that must have taken a bit of a toll.
So from a personal perspective, nothing much really changed. So to put the sort of timeline together,
of course,
Friday the 13th of March, it was a normal day at the office for my day job.
You are an accountant.
I work in accounts, credit management.
Of course, right.
For a local electrical services company.
Okay, cool.
So about 3:00 the afternoon, we all, as a team, get told to go up to the boardroom and take a seat. So we're like, okay, what's going on?
Right. Okay.
Earlier that day, my boss had asked me if there was some kind of platform that we could all use as like video conferencing, and I thought something's going on here.
Right. Okay.
Basically, they told us in this meeting for the next 2 weeks, starting the Monday, the 16th of March, we were going to be working from home.
Right. They didn't really say why at the time.
Well, they explained to us basically that they were trialing this just because that they felt the government were going to start taking steps to protect the communities. So they said for the next 2 weeks minimum, you'll be working from home. So if you've got a laptop, great. If you haven't, get one from IT. Make sure you've got everything set up so that you can work from home, basically.
Right.
The system that we use is a remote desktop. So as long as I've got my laptop and an internet connection,
you'll be fine.
Work, basically. Cool. I can work from anywhere. So Monday the 16th, I set up on my dining room table. And then my sciatica started back again. I was like, right, I need to do something about this. So I set up in the spare room, desk office set up. Everything's ready to roll now. But it didn't really change. Instead of having to get up at 6:45 in the morning, I could get up at 7:45 in the morning, roll downstairs, have a coffee, and then start work at 8:00. It meant I spent more time at home with family. So I can see my son whenever I want. You know, I don't literally get to the desk at 8 a.m. and leave at 5 p.m. I'll go, you know, I need screen time away. So 10:30 in the morning, I'll go downstairs, make a coffee, and I'll have 5 minutes with my son. So that side of things is really good. So it didn't really change. Business wise. Well, that's the interesting thing, because business just exploded. The fact that people were at home, spending more time browsing social media. It was so. Without trying to sound disrespectful, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. I would post a new product online, and within the first 24 hours, I would have almost sold out the pre-order. In full. The snapback that I'm wearing right now, I released an initial quantity of 25, and within 3 days they'd sold out.
That's pretty cool.
I had to increase the quantity that I bought in, just because of the demand. Because people were spending more time on Instagram and Facebook. They were seeing more of my content, more
Of
of the
course.
products that I were releasing. And it ended up getting to the point where people were buying almost everything that I released.
Oh, good.
And I'm now at the moment releasing one new product every single week.
Yeah.
Because people want more.
Yeah.
The interesting thing's going to be when things get back to whatever normal is going to be, and everyone starts returning back to work.
Do you think your business will plummet?
I don't think it'll plummet. I think a lot of the hard work's been done over the last sort of 3 or 4 months now.
Yeah.
And I think I've used